Again, welcome to Coming Out with Gabriel Páez. Today we have none other than Herb Sosa, an activist, community activist, and really all around great individual. Herb, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming and being here with us today and discussing Herb Sosa's.
Thank you so much for having me, Gabriel. It's a pleasure. It's been a long time coming, and I'm super proud of you and your show, and I'm even happier to be on it.
Thank you so much. Well, for those of you that don't really have the opportunity or had the opportunity to get to know you, give us a little bit of information on who you are, where you've been, where you're going.
Okay.
It's all about you today.
Oh, goody. Well, I was born Heriberto Jorge Sosa, first generation Cuban American here in Miami. Very proud. And I have done a variety of things throughout my life. I've always called Miami home, and activism has been very important to me and continues to be. I love historic preservation. I was very involved for many, many years and continue to be, chairing a variety of organizations like Miami Design Preservation League, Dade Heritage Trust. I chaired the Historic Preservation Board, and I bought a historic building that I live in. So I practice what I preach. What else did I do? I worked for Burdines for many years.
Burdines, wow, that takes us back.
When you see palm trees and flamingos, there's still a few around, even at the Macy's stores. Those were my design, and I'm proud of those to still be around. But a few years ago, when I was in historic preservation, saving buildings, as I'd like to always say, I realized that there were a lot of issues that were affecting my community and me personally. I had adopted a son who also happened to be a gay teenager. And this was a time when equality and marriage and adoption were not options in Florida. And that was just a few years ago. And I realized that I guess my calling was a little bigger. And I was always involved with the LGBT community, and I always volunteered for a variety of organizations, but I just felt it was time to really just step it up a little bit more. And there was a challenge to the Miami-Dade Human Rights Ordinance a few years back, 22 years or so ago, and a group of us started, literally, you've heard of like a kitchen table organization. This is what we did. It was literally around my kitchen table.
In the historic building.
In a historic building at a table I designed. Yes.
Okay, great.
No, but seriously, there was a lot of issues where our rights were being threatened to be taken away. And this had not happened since Anita Bryant era. So I had a day job, but I, did this by evening. And long story short, even when the national organization said, forget it, there's certain groups that you don't even go to. I knew better. I knew my community. I knew Versailles. I knew, Little Havana and West Miami and Doral, and I knew my people, if you will. Even though other organizations and other groups felt there's no way you're going to convince the little old ladies with the radio in their hand and the Bible in the other all day long. Well, we did. We talked to them about discrimination and about equality and about feeling different in not a good way. And that's a universal language. That's something everybody could relate to. It wasn't about, you have to like me because I'm gay, or here's the rainbow flag. It wasn't about any of that. It was about, have you ever been discriminated against for speaking in a different language, hablando en otro idioma, for how you look, for how you act? We can all relate to that. South Florida is a melting pot, and along with that comes everybody's different and everybody's from somewhere else, including who you choose to love. So that,
Amen on that one.
Yeah, we were very proud to turn 11 polls throughout South Florida, mostly West Dade, which nobody thought was going to happen. And I'd like to say, in a small way, my group was able to keep the laws in place that so many people work so hard to fight for and continue to. And that was the birth of Unity Coalition, Coalición Unida. And that was 22 years ago. Wow. And today I continue to be the proud director and CEO. Unity Coalition is dedicated to the arts, to education, and to awareness of the Hispanic, Indigenous, and of color LGBTQ community. But as I always like to tell people, everybody's a minority in South Florida. So, if you feel that you don't have a seat at the table, we're the group to help you. We're the group to give everybody an equal voice. It's not about special interests. It's about just coexisting and having a voice.
It's interesting how everything is so cyclical.
Absolutely.
22 years ago, you were faced with this. Today, we're faced with it
Yes.
again. What are our biggest challenge today to this community?
Mm.
I know them, but I want them to hear them from you, because sometimes you don't really believe I'm not really the best person to be preaching, because they're like, oh, that's all you do for 365.
Well, thank you. It's interesting you asked that, especially the two of us being of Venezuelan and Cuban backgrounds.
Exactly.
I take very seriously what my family gave up and what they endured for freedom, and for my freedom, and for my family's freedom. And I don't take that lightly. There isn't an election that I don't vote in. Everybody thinks, oh, the presidential elections. No, the local ones. The local ones are really the important ones, or more so, I would say. And I always take that very seriously. What are the biggest challenges to our community? Depends which community you're asking. If you're asking the LGBT community, survival. Not being erased, not being demonized. We've always existed, and we will always exist, and we are not a threat to anybody. But there's a fear mongering going on right now, locally, nationally, internationally, and that is the oldest trick in the book. To control the masses, you control them with ignorance, and you control them with falsehoods, and you control them simply with lies. So when you talk about, a man in a dress going into a bathroom and taking advantage of children, look at the facts. Look at how many straight men are the ones that end up arrested and in jail. Look at how many of the politicians that vote against LGBT issues are the ones that are caught with underage children, or, trolling the internet. Look at how many religious leaders there are. Look at how many family members, none of which identify as LGBT, and then tell me what the actual statistics are of how many trans women or men have been arrested for being in the bathroom, taking advantage of anybody. Those are the facts, but those facts are not what the politicians that are trying to find a scapegoat in the LGBT community want you to hear.
No, and interesting. I mean, most recently we had that senator in a northern state, which is, he's promoting here these difficult laws and making it more difficult for our minority, and he's the first one that's caught trying to allure a minor.
Yes.
So really, the ones that you really have to be worried about, I feel, are the ones that are screaming it out.
Absolutely.
And it just, and that's what hurts the most, because they're screaming lies, they're screaming, falsehoods. And here we have to deal with it. And we're like a minority. The trans community is like the smallest minority, and they're the ones who take the brunt of everything.
Yeah, Gabriel, I'd like to also add, you asked what are some of the issues. The issues that the LGBT community deals with are the same ones as non-LGBT. We want good jobs. We want housing. We want affordable housing. We want to exist. We want to love who we want to love. It's not that different. I don't get a discount at the supermarket because I'm gay.
No.
FP&L doesn't give me, free electricity, and I wouldn't want them to. I just want to be left alone, and I just want to be able to be the proud man that I am, and live the life of dignity and of respect and of faith and everything else that I am. And that is not a conflict. That is not a conflict with who I choose to love and who I choose to share my personal life with. And anybody that feels that that's a threat, they should really look at themselves and look at their own faith and look at their own beliefs, and ask themselves, why are they threatened by someone else's life?
What do you think? What do you think they would say, though? What do you think that they would say, that that they're threatened by what? I mean, are they threatened by us wearing, wig, or drag queen wearing wigs and their nails? Are they, what are they so concerned about?
My short, blunt answer is I really don't give a damn.
Great.
Because it's not.
That's the perfect answer.
Well, it just simply, I'm not following, someone else. I'm not following people putting out fires. I'm leading by example, and I believe that that's what we all should be doing. Our community just lost a pioneer of comedy this week, Mariloli. Mariloli came through the Mariel boat lift, openly gay man. Worked as a a performer in every possible genre of South Florida, was accepted by the heterosexual community at every level, but just to a point, because she was funny, because she was not threatening. And that's wonderful, and we mourn her loss right now. And the community as a whole, South Florida, gay or straight, should definitely look at that as an example of somebody that does cross bridges, somebody that did unify instead of divide. And then I see, 3 Congress leaders that were elected by our community that are Hispanic, that scream from the top of the rooftops about anti this and anti that, and we'll never put up with communism, and we'll never put up with dictators. But here we are, and they are silent. So another thing that I think is very, very important is to vote, and vote with your conscience, and not vote just with the D or the R or the independent. That's very important. Learn the issues, learn the facts,
especially on the local side.
Yeah. I mean, don't just, I love my parents and I respect their political views. But I also have my own political views and my own mind, if you will. And I think that we all need to, and especially those of us that struggled to come to this country for freedom. We're giving it up. We are giving it up. We are pretending like we did not endure hell and high water to come to freedom. And right now we're just handing it over at all levels. Yesterday there was a challenge in Miami Beach to free speech and to censoring. And it was well intended, I believe, but it was completely misdirected. And that's the kind of thing that we have to be vigilant about. And that crosses way beyond LGBTQ or trans or any, Hispanic. That affects all of us.
Well, we're so intersectional that we're in every community. So like you said, all the issues affect us,
Absolutely.
like our insurance rates, my house doesn't have insurance right now because it's, $8,000 for a home that is paid off for. And it's like,
yeah.
So we suffer the same consequences, the same issues that everybody does, but then we're penalized for who we love, and for who we are, and that's just not right,
Correct.
And that's what we have to fight for, and I think that's the struggle that we continue to have,
and not fall for the divide and conquer. That's something that is as old as humanity. When dark forces want to control the masses, they throw misinformation out there. They strip away education. We just lost the Department of Education today. That should be extremely alarming to every single American. But yet we seem to just keep going along with everything that's happening. It hurts my heart and my soul to see where we are headed locally, nationally, and internationally. How complacent we have become. And I think that's the bigger issue as it relates back to the LGBT community. Just because you feel it doesn't affect you directly doesn't mean they're not coming for you next. And if the Venezuelans and the Cubans specifically learned nothing 4 or 5, 3 months ago at this point, if we learn nothing, it's betrayal by politicians. We were promised and we believed, it's not going to affect us. We don't care about who gets trampled on along the way as long as you don't touch us. Well, guess what? We were the first ones they came for.
Interesting how one of their activists, the Venezuelan activist, said, they promised us that they wouldn't touch the Venezuelans.
Absolutely.
And those were the first ones that they attacked. They're the first ones who they sent back. And,
And again, I challenge our 3 elected Hispanic congressmen and women. Where are they? Why are they hiding right now? They were so loud and proud about not accepting communism and not, we're very, very good in the Hispanic community to throw around the words, socialism and communism as triggers because they know that it's going to trigger many of us that came here.
Right.
But we somehow just go blind and deaf and dumb when it's happening right here in our own country.
And it's interesting how, yes, they probably were told don't show up because it's going to be,
that's not what my vote went for. I don't know about yours, but that's not what my vote.
That wasn't the intent. I mean, the intent is to talk and to discuss issues that arise and that impact us all. And here they didn't just not show up for
Well,
the LGBT community. They didn't show up for the Venezuelan community. They didn't show up for the Cuban community. You show up for anybody.
but it goes back to, again, the same issue. I think that, we are not vigilant enough as communities, whether it's the LGBT community, the Hispanic, the Cuban, the Colombian, go down the list, the Haitian community. We feel if it doesn't affect us directly, we're staying out of it. Well, guess what? It's now showing us it's affecting everybody equally.
Well, that's like,
Um,
they first came for the plumbers, and I wasn't a plumber, and
absolutely.
or the socialists, and but when they came for me, nobody stood up for me because there was nobody left.
And I'll give you an example. Why should anybody care about Unity Coalition, an LGBTQ organization? Our funding has all but disappeared for a variety of reasons. On a federal level, to be honest, we did not rely heavily on government funding, so we were not as affected as other organizations have been. Many of which have had to literally go out of business that have been around for decades. We're a little more resilient. We diversify, our funding efforts, and hopefully that's one of the reasons why we've been around for 22 years, and hopefully we'll be around long enough until we're not needed anymore. And I was kind of hoping a couple of years ago I could retire from this, but here we are right back where we started. And that is extremely important. People need to realize over and over and over again, it's not about whether you like or don't like gay people or, trans people. It's about fairness, and it's about equality, and it's about, many other issues that just change the name trans or gay or whatever and put in Venezuelan or Cuban or elderly or whatever other subgroup you feel that you are part of. And guess what? You're next. If you're not already on the chopping block, you're next.
So what's next with Unity Coalition?
Well, we continue, doing the work that we believe and our community tells us is important. That's something I'm very, very proud of. I have an extremely diverse board that is woke. We like the word woke. It is not a threat. Our history is just that. It's a fact. It doesn't have to make you feel good or comfortable. History is messy. History is, many times not the way we currently choose to live our lives, but it's still history. You can't erase it. You can't rewrite it. You should certainly not ignore it. So Unity Coalition is very dedicated to the legacy, the history, past and living, of the LGBTQI community, of the Hispanic community, of the people of color. We have video archives that we produce for GAOA, which is our same gender loving people of color initiative. We have a video archive we've been doing for 9 years now of the trans and non-binary community. What are those for? Well, if you're not really sure, or you think, I don't really know anybody gay, I don't really know anybody trans, go on our website, unitycoalition.org, coalicionunida.org, and you will see our video archive of hundreds of people that are just living their life. We don't have horns on our head. We don't wake up with rainbow flags, painted across our forehead. We're regular people that want to love and be loved and exist, pay taxes, be a part of our community, be a vital contributing part of our community. And that's it. It's no different than any other American, that is here, either born here originally or of, second or third generation. We all want the same things. And if we keep allowing our politicians to divide us and to divert attention, where on one hand we're screaming and yelling about all these horrible, horrible situations with these, illegal immigrants and this and that, and on the other hand, our very rights are being taken out from right under us. Well, that's all they're doing. They're just saying, look over here, look at this shiny little thing over here.
To distract us.
Yeah, to distract us. We can't let that happen.
I know.
Drag queens are not a threat. Schools teaching history are not a threat. Gay people are not a threat. Hispanics working the fields or in an office or whatever capacity, we're not a threat. DEI is not a threat.
DEI, that's become like the word.
It's absurd. It is absurd. It is absurd.
The nastiest word on the on the
It's
planet.
horrible. It's horrible, and every single person should be beyond concerned and alarmed. Beyond concerned. And the double standard that we're living is just horrendous. But again, back to Unity Coalition, we continue to do our work. We continue to educate our community. We started the Miami-Dade Chorus, which was the almost 30-year organization that was sadly almost out of business after COVID. We took them under our wing, and we're proud. We have a wonderful director and a wonderful accompanist, and the chorus keeps growing. Has performed, as you know, for the mayor several times, and will continue to just show the wonderful diversity of our community, through our work. We have scholarship programs. We have TransArt, which is, again, a program that celebrates the trans and non-binary community. And then we have Celebrate Orgullo, which celebrates everything that's wonderful about our Hispanic indigenous community.
So it's like a pride? Is that what it is?
It is like a pride. And again, a lot of people ask, well, why do you need a pride? Well, guess what? Because 364 days a year, we don't need to celebrate hetero pride or straight pride because the privileges are all there. You could get drunk and go to Vegas and have over 1,500 legal rights as a couple. Yes, you can Google that. 1,500 on a drunken night. But a gay couple's life and future and legitimate love and marriage is being threatened, and used as a pawn. Our lives matter. We're real people, and we're voters, and we're taxpayers, and we matter. And it's time for all of us to stand together and support that. You don't have to be gay. You don't have to be Hispanic. You don't have to be a woman to understand the severity of the times that we're living in. And Unity Coalition, for one, we're not backing down. We're doing our job, and we will continue to represent our community as needed. I started to say I'm very proud of our board. We have a very diverse board that listens to our community and adjusts as needed. And I'm very, very proud of every single person that sits with me in this mission, in this challenge, if you will. And yeah, prides are fun, and riding on a float is fun. When you get the calls at 3 a.m. of somebody that's been detained by immigration and they need help, that's not so fun, but that's part of our work.
So you're also working immigration.
Absolutely. We always
have attorneys.
We have an amazing program that we do also in both Bogota. We have offices in Bogota as well as in South Florida.
I was going to go there. But now that you take us there, talk to us about
why Bogota,
or what led you to Bogota and the work that you're doing internationally.
Well, I'll tell you simply. It started right around COVID. Several friends of ours and board members had connections to Colombia. South Florida certainly is a bridge for many Hispanic groups, Cuban, Venezuelan, Colombian being probably three of the largest. So it's a natural bridge. It's not a stretch. What happens in Colombia affects Miami. What happens in Miami affects Colombia. So that's really where it was born out of. We started sending health kits and masks and hand gels and condoms and you name it. And that evolved into a full-fledged office. We have an amazing director, Saray Luna, a trans woman that runs our Unity Coalition Colombia, and year-round programming. She has a staff over there. She works under me and under our board, and other programs that we are very, very proud of that are funded. This particular one is funded by both Gilead and Ford Foundation, which I admire because they put their money where their mouth is. And for 3 years, we've been running a program called Saber es Poder, or Knowing is Power. And the knowing part is knowing what your HIV status is, and also providing resources, both everything from condoms to, medication to food, you name it. And we run that very successfully. It's in its third year. So as I said, it's not all, glitter and rainbows, but it's hard work. However, we do have rainbows and glitter once in a while. And I want to give you this
Thank you.
fan to show our unity and diversity, or diversidad en la unificación de nuestra organización. And that'll keep you cool and warm in summers.
Especially now coming up with these weathers, the weather these months are going to change.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Now, are you also taking PrEP into Colombia? or is it?
We are not. We know what we know, and we do what we do, and we
Okay.
stay in our lane.
Okay.
That's something that I've been very proud of from day one.
And that's probably the best way to stay,
Yeah,
right?
we don't reinvent the wheel.
Okay.
We are not doctors. We are not lawyers, but we team with the best of doctors and the best of lawyers and the best of organizations and the best of, as I said, Gilead, Vive, Ford Foundation, organizations that are bigger than us or better funded than us, and know what they're doing.
Right.
So do we provide prep directly? No, we do not provide prep directly, but we have, just as our name says, Unity Coalition, Coalición Unida. We are a unit, if you will, or united group of resources. We work closely here with everybody from Empower You to Care Resource to Borinquen, and various other organizations locally. So we do the same thing internationally.
So it's like a all-rounded service center.
Well, yeah, we tried to provide goods and services where we feel and where our community tells us they need it.
And is Bogota like the only place you have a
Bogota and Medellin in Colombia right now. And again, we do what we do as successfully as we can. We try to always keep ourselves in check and not spread ourselves too thin. Give you an example. South Florida, there's need everywhere. And we would love to definitely spread beyond South Florida. But we feel that unless we are really able to make a difference, all we're doing is watering it down. And we're not in this to promote the name of Unity Coalition. We're in this really just to level the playing field and to give people a chance. Just give people a chance to live and love and be healthy and contribute to our community as we all intend to do.
How do you think, you said that you weren't really heavily funded by federal funds, but this funding that's being cut from HIV, I mean,
devastating, ignorant, short-sighted. If anybody thinks for 1 second that America first and, ignoring the health concerns of anywhere outside of our shores, if you believe that to be true, I will simply remind you of COVID. And don't be ignorant. This is a globe. This is a global economy, and we travel everywhere. And somebody sneezes across the other end of the world, and we catch a cold here, and the same goes the other way. The rest of the world is not evil and cruel, and America does not and should not turn its back on anybody. That's part of the responsibility of being a first world economy and a first world leader. It comes with the responsibility. Yes, we can certainly take care of our people first, but we cannot turn our backs on the rest of the world, especially when it comes to health and wellness and feeding people.
And especially for something that we're so close to probably not eradicating, but at least to controlling.
Absolutely.
We were, because PrEP has helped a great deal.
Absolutely.
But yet then now we find out that our community here, brown women and black women, are the highest, Do you
know what the highest growing group in new HIV cases is, Gabriel?
Yes.
Senior citizens.
There you go.
Senior citizens. So if you think for 1 second out there, abuelita y abuelito, that it doesn't affect you, go to the villages, go to any of our retirement communities, and sexually transmitted diseases, including HIV, are exploding in that community. Funny enough, our LGBT community, after unimaginable loss, has leveled off. We still have, our numbers are still higher than we choose or would like them to be, but the highest growing groups are the Haitian community, unfortunately, and the senior citizen community, both in the heterosexual category. Why? Because husbands go out, do what they do, and they bring back diseases to their, homes and their family. Seniors think exactly that. Oh, I'm too old. I'm not going to catch anything. Well, guess what? AIDS and HIV and other sexually transmitted diseases don't ask you who you love or discriminate at all. So that's, when we look at defunding any program, whether it's within the shores of America or the United States, I should say, because America is a whole
and especially medical. Because if you tell me, okay, we're defunding, X program, I'm okay with possibility that there might be a reason behind
Yeah.
it. But when it comes to medical issues, when it comes to important ones like HIV prevention and HIV, elimination,
Yeah.
it's like, how could you be doing this?
Yeah.
What in your right mind do you think?
Well, you just said it. They're not in their right mind, and they don't care at all about the people that elected them. It's really that simple. I've given up on believing and hoping for the best. They're, if it quacks like a duck, it's a duck, and here we are. So
A
we
spade is a
continue with
spade.
our work. Unity Coalition, again, unitycoalition.org is available 24/7 for anybody that needs help, support, that needs to celebrate their diversity, needs to scream, needs resources for medical or for legal help or anything really that you could think of. We try to connect you.
So
We
you'll
try to
be
connect
at
you.
Pride this year, Miami Beach
Absolutely, we'll
Pride,
be at Pride.
and you'll be
Absolutely.
sharing your
We'll be at
information.
Pride just like we are at non-LGBT, festivals and issues. And, again, we believe in sitting at every table. We are equally as comfortable with our incredibly supportive Mayor Levine at a county level and as we are at any table. And when we're invited, we're very, very grateful. And when we're not and we feel we should be at that table, we bring our own chair.
There you go. And we bring our own funds and we do what we got to do, right?
Exactly.
Well, Herb, I mean, we could sit here and talk about so many things for so long, like we usually do. I did want to throw out that little last funny thing that we had together, which was I passed by his house the other day on the Miami Beach, and I said, I think Herb used to live here. And I saw the door was open on the second floor, and I screamed, Herb! Herb didn't come out, but like 20 minutes later, we connected, and I said, did you hear somebody screaming outside your window? And he was like, was that you? And it sure was.
I
And
was flattered. You're welcome to come by anytime and scream up at the window anytime you want.
thank you so much. I appreciate it. Once again, thank you for coming and for the work that you do and everything
for
that
having me.
work that you do with the organization and Unity Coalition, and for the work that you do outside of the country. My God,
I just want people to keep in mind, get involved. Don't just sit there. Don't get mad at the TV every night when you watch the news and do nothing. Do something. Every single person makes a difference. And it's only when none of us do anything that nothing happens. This isn't lost. This is a democracy, and there's a reason why we all came to the wonderful shores of the United States of America. Let's not forget why we came here. We came here because many, many times in our own native countries, we didn't have the privileges and the freedoms that we came here looking for. So why would we just throw them away now that we're here?
On that note, thank you so much for having us, and we hope that you come back again for our next show. Appreciate it. Take care. Bye-bye.